Hey everyone, the trader investor here. This is Friday, the last day of cash trading day. The markets are going to open in about 10 minutes, and I just wanted to go over my preparation for this last day of the week trading. So I'm looking at the futures just to prepare us, to give us a heads up of where the markets could be heading. And what we can see, just real quick, we'll look at SPY from yesterday. It had a big drop, and price just did not reverse that drop. It just stayed in a small range. So the ES now, it's the S&P 500 futures. Same big drop, same very small bounce, but then price is staying in a tight range. This is a very tight range, so the market is not really deciding which way it wants to go. When we see this positive number, we think, oh, the market is going to go up, but not necessarily, because that range is very tight, very tight. There's no clear significance of a reversal of this move to the downside. There is no clear indication of some imbalances left open from the downside going up. Everything from the yesterday's bearish movement, we have one imbalance appear, and the second imbalance down here we closed overnight. So in the futures, of course, for the cash market, when I look at SPY, I don't look at extended hours. I only focus on the cash hours. So looking at the cash hours, in the SPY, I don't see any unresolved imbalance. I just wanted to show you what the ES is doing to give us a starting point, a preparation for our trade. Because my long-term bias has been, we're making lower highs and we're starting to make lower lows, right? So I'm expecting price to continue to downward movement to close this order block. This is where my expectation is on the long term. So when we look at SPY, it gives us a clearer indication because there's no overnight action in there. So we have a high, we have a lower high, we have a couple of lows, and now is this going to be a higher low and we reverse, or are we gonna see stop hunts at this area of liquidity? Are we going to see some price manipulation in this area? And is price going to continue to drive down once we clear this liquidity, right? Once it does what it needs to do, is price then going to do this, right? And if that's the case, then what I want to target is number one, this imbalance, and number two, this order block, because this order block is a daily order block. Those are my strong order blocks. Yes, you'll see me draw hourly order blocks just to see where price could terminate, but I look at daily order blocks. These are my strong areas where I believe, I have conviction that the price pullback will terminate unless we get some deep correction. Then we will not have an entry. Anyway, I don't blindly enter at order block. I use the daily order block to signal me, yes, we're coming into that order block. Is there a reversal from that down move? So meaning we get in here and then we start to reverse by making higher highs and higher lows, right? So when we start making this kind of move, this is where we are comfortable to enter. It's okay to enter at the break of this high as long as we see a higher low, or it's okay to wait and enter here when we see a break of the second higher high, as long as we have a second higher low. And our stop is going to be right below these lows, right below these lows. We're not going to go all the way down because we have seen that break of structure. Break of structure is critical in this trading. There are those who want to enter as soon as we get into this order block, but for me that is too risky. So if I am entering in this zone, as soon as it enters here, if I'm entering here, this is where my stop is. And to me, this is just too wide of a gap. Look at the difference between this gap here. So if we measure it here, right, this is 900, about 1,000 points. And then if we measure it here, for example, it's 400 points. So completely different entries and exits. But I prefer to see a break of structure. For me, a break of structure confirms the move. So that's why I use the daily, but I also wait for the daily to really give me a signal. So now what I'm looking for is, what is price going to do now? We are forming lower highs, lower lows. So I want to see a strong break of this liquidity after manipulation is done. And if we look at the Qs, we are very near that liquidity area. So I want to see what price does at this liquidity before I enter my put position. So I know this is, my expectation is price is going to go fill this order block. There are a few gaps, few imbalances along the way that we are going to cover. So our exits are going to be scaled out as we start to see those gaps closed, those imbalances taken care of. Those will be our exits. IWM, my leading indicator, IWM is in that consolidation phase. So for us to say that the pullback is over, I want this to hold. I want price to get out of this area, get out of this test, do not break below it, and resume the way up. This is what I want to see in IWM. If IWM is leading us this way, then we are safe to assume that the pullback is over. Now, of course, not only that, I also want to see the Qs become really strong. When you look at the daily, the Qs have been consolidating, and when the Qs are consolidating, it's not a sign of strength, but it's not a sign of complete weakness either, because the Qs are near all-time high territory as well. So we want to see technology come out really strong, and as technology come out really strong, then we can be comfortable that we're also done with that reversal. So the Qs coming back up, closing this imbalance, it's left hanging, and continuing the move up would be a great sign for that reversal, for the pullback to be over and we're back in business, or we have some more downside. I am being cautious, and I'm erring to the side where we still have a little bit more room to go to the downside before we reverse course. So finally, let's look at the diamonds. They're telling the same story. We have highs and lower highs, and price continue to make lower lows. So we're dancing in this area now. I want to see what price does as it takes care of this liquidity. Once this liquidity is taken care of, then we can be comfortable to enter long or short, depending on what the institutions, the market makers, what they do in this area, how they manipulate this liquidity, and what sign do they give us to enter. Until then, we're cautiously waiting, but I want to see what the market does, because I will use some shorter term strategies, like my breakout of 15-minute range, or pull back to the VWAP, any of those short-term strategies to capture movement for the day, like 1.2 point movement, in and out the same day. So this is how I'm looking at the market. This is how I'm preparing for the markets to open in the next couple of minutes. So everyone, don't forget to like this video and share your thoughts with me in comments, and any questions you have, I will address them. And the likes are my encouragement, because I want to keep doing this. I want to keep coaching you and teaching you on how I am analyzing the market, so you can take advantage of them. We're about to open, everyone. Take care and make some green.